What's up, YouTube? Wild Echo here, and we are here for the aftermath of SummerSlam 2017. I'm Parker, and I am your two-time Wawa Echo World Heavyweight Champion.
And I am your future two-time Wawa Echo World Champion, Zach.
We'll see. The title's never leaving my waist again, except for when I gotta go to the bathroom.
Thank goodness, I guess.
But like we said, this is the aftermath of SummerSlam 2017. So we're just going to run through the card and give our opinions on each of the matches, what we thought of each of them, and where we think the storylines might go for all those involved going into the future.
Yeah, and so we start right off with the kickoff show. We started off with the Miz Taraj facing off against, or the Miz and the Miz Taraj against the Hardys and Jason Jordan. Right?
That's his name. Yeah. Jason Angle.
Jason Angle.
I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
And so, like, this match was kind of thrown together simply because the thing with the Hardys that we've talked about before, they're supposed to feud with the Revival. Of course, we even saw hints of being broken whenever they thought they might get the gimmick right. And so really, and then the Dash Wilder, that's the name of the other guy.
Yeah, that is.
I just remembered. It's so random, but I just remembered.
2 videos later.
That's funny though. But no, Scott Dawson, he got injured, so they kind of have nothing for the Hardys at the moment. So they kind of just paired him up with Jason Jordan because the main storyline here is Jason Jordan versus The Miz. And Parker kind of thinks that they'll probably have their match at Survivor Series. And honestly, if they put it further than that, like, I didn't even talk about the match yet, but if they put it further than that, like, that's just gonna drag it out.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd go quite to Survivor Series. I think that I'm thinking that they'll probably have a match at No Mercy, which is the next Raw pay-per-view, and I would say that Miz would probably win that, and then they would have another match at the next pay-per-view, which I would think. I'm pretty sure that there's probably at least 2 more after that before Survivor Series.
But
yeah, it'd be a while. Survivor Series.
Well, yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is, past Survivor Series is just too much. So I'm hoping that that we're both kind of hoping. We really don't even like the storyline idea, and that's kind of what this match was about. It was kind of focusing around the Miz and the Miz Taraj versus really just Jason Jordan because the Hardys kind of got thrown out. Now, they were an important part of the match. They had their spots, and they were great as always because they're the Hardys. But I think they just kind of got lost in this match. Going forward, I don't know what we see of the Hardys, but obviously we're just going to have to bear with the Miz versus Jason Jordan and whenever that comes along. And who knows if that's planting a seed for Miz versus Angle later on. People... just like when people assume anything and everything.
I'm going to go with the hope of Angle versus Bryan after that little promo we got from the two of them, that backstage promo.
Right, but you also got to think, Miz was also like rumored to feud with Daniel Bryan, and they kind of planted the seeds for that too.
Right.
So they're planting the seeds for Angle versus Miz. Maybe it's just that Miz is an sort of general manager kind of character, and he sort of is. He does his character very well, and so I doubt that it's leading to that, but not looking forward to this future. Just not. Now, Jason Jordan, it's not because of him. I mean, especially kind of being broken away from American Alpha, because he can work. He's really good, and so is the Miz. But it's just them two against each other. It just seems kind of weird. It's just odd. Like, I don't know. It's just something about it.
Yeah. I agree. The next match on the pre-show was the Cruiserweight Championship match between the champion at the time, Tozawa, up against the king of the Cruiserweights, Neville. And Neville was victorious, and he reclaimed his Cruiserweight Championship to become the first ever two-time cruiserweight champion of this belt's lineage, which is cool. I am also the first two-time champion of a belt's lineage, so I'm right there with Neville. It's very important. It's very, very highly sought after position to be in. So we're just rolling our selective kingdoms. He's the king of the cruiserweights. I'm the king of Wawa Echo.
All right.
That's what we got going on. So I do think that it was a bit strange that they gave Tozawa the championship for 6 days just for Neville to win it back. I don't really understand why they did that. Maybe it was just to reward Tozawa for the work he's been doing, but I think there are other people that have worked harder in the cruiserweight division for longer that would maybe deserve that kind of thing more, but I don't know. But I do think that keeping Neville as the champion is the exact right decision to do. And I don't know, like while I would have loved for him to have not reset his time clock of his title reign, because I personally love longer title reigns. Uh, and he at the time before he lost on last Monday was the longest reigning champion of all of them that was there, winning at the Royal Rumble. So it was kind of sucky that he did lose and then have to regain it, but I am glad that he regained it. It was a good match, really solid. Tozawa was a great worker. He's a great wrestler. I wish he wouldn't shout quite as much as he does,
Yes.
but he's good. Neville was amazing as always. He's just phenomenal. And there's not a whole lot to say honestly about this match. It was good, good fast-paced action. I think the right person came out victorious. So, in all accounts, good in my book.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was a really good match. In all honesty, we really had two out of three
Yeah.
of the pre-show matches were pretty much main card
really. Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
Neville Tozawa put on a show, and then
I really want Neville to somehow knock it through Vince's head that he is worthy of being on the main card of pay-per-views.
I mean,
Like Neville has put out one of the best matches of every card that he's been on since coming to the cruiserweight division.
actually, yes, I believe we say this every time.
Yeah, we literally do that. Like even before we started the channel, like his match against Jack Gallagher, where he defended the title for the first time, I believe Fastlane was amazing.
It was.
His match against Rich Swann at Royal Rumble was amazing. Every match he had with Austin Aries was an incredible, hands down best or second best of every card it was on. And then Tozawa as well was another excellent match, definitely in probably the top 5 matches of the card, I would say.
And then the match that followed was a really good match.
Was amazing. Better than the Neville match, actually.
Yeah,
I would say.
For as far as storytelling, especially, it had more storytelling than the Cruiserweight match did. But this was the SmackDown Championship match between the defending champions, the New Day, versus the challengers, the Usos. And the Usos reclaimed their titles back as well. And I even predicted this. I think about a month and a half ago. But the thing is, like, I didn't think they would actually do it with the New Day actually winning last pay per view. I didn't think that the Usos would actually win this one, but I mean, who knows why they did?
They don't have a lot of other options.
Aren't they now the first 2-time SmackDown Tag Team Champions? I believe so. I think they said it. Or maybe they were saying
on the SmackDown lineage. I
think so.
Guess so.
I think so because they made some sort of mention of it.
Yeah.
And so
yeah. They're the first 2-time. They're now a total of 4-time tag team champions in general, but I believe they are the first 2-time SmackDown champions.
And so maybe the New Day holding it for a month was kind of that, just to give the Usos that, kind of like we said before. I don't really think they should have another match. Even though their matches have been good,
Yeah,
but if they continue on, we'll see the same stuff. And maybe not. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe they have a match at the No Mercy or not No Mercy. That's wrong.
The one after that. Yeah.
Whatever the next SmackDown is, maybe they have a match that's just as good. I don't know, but be careful. Like if we're gonna have another match, because you've already had Xavier and Kofi, and then you've had Xavier and Big E now. And maybe they're gonna do Big E and Kofi. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, like if the feud ends now, that they've had a really good feud. Some really good back and forth. Put on some really good matches. This was one of the best matches of the night. We really enjoyed it, and I mean, just really good workers. All of them were.
Yeah.
And let's just talk really quickly about that ending though.
Yeah.
Like Big E took 4 super kicks and a double splash,
and then before that with the crazy throw into the Samoan drop on Xavier, and then Big E with the dive, the suicide dive, and then they threw him back in the ring and went for the end. It was an incredible, fast-paced match.
Yes, and for them to be so quick, all of them to be so quick.
Even Big E at his size. But
my point in saying them all being so quick, and they're all so precise too. So that's what puts on a good match. They can all, again, it's all storytelling as well. Great athleticism, great performances, just altogether a good match. But then we transition into the main card, where we start off with the not so good match.
Complete 180.
Now, given that it's not the most boring match that Baron Corbin has been put out,
not in a good way.
Not in a good way. But it was Baron Corbin versus John Cena, and we both kind of saw this coming as well. Not just as in predicting. Oh no! I mean, we both saw this in a way.
I really worried about that this was going to happen.
Right. We both thought that it could happen, and unfortunately it did. The fact that Baron Corbin is obviously being punished. He's went on a Twitter rampage. He's being buried. And I don't like people saying that John Cena buries people, because in reality he doesn't. If you think about the superstars he's put over, he doesn't. But tonight, and it's not John Cena's decision, I'm sure. I'm sure Vince said, go out and make this guy look like a fool. And he did. And it was sad. It was just plain out sad. I mean, John Cena didn't take the match so seriously at all. Baron barely put on any really good offense. He really didn't even do anything that was heat, drew heat, or any heel moves, heel tactics.
Especially after he cost him the Money in the Bank. I expected just so much more.
And even I was hoping that while I said that Cena was going to win, and while he did, I was hoping that would lead to a monster heel,
beat him up after
really
it's
getting
over.
Heat. But what happens? Cena celebrates.
Cena runs around hugging,
and Corbin just kind of goes to the wayside. And so where this goes from here, I don't see them facing off with each other anymore. I think this was just kind of a punishment for Corbin. John Cena. He's a free agent, so apparently he's moving to Raw full time after SummerSlam. So he'll be moving full time to Raw, and then Corbin probably gonna get buried some more, or maybe this was his punishment, and from here on out he'll be pushed.
Could happen.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
Definitely. And following that was a match that was pretty decent, but had a very surprising ending to it, and that is the match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And it was the champion that was Naomi going up against Natalya. And in the end, Naomi did tap out to the sharpshooter by Natalya, giving Natalya her very first Women's Championship, which in a way I think is great. I think it's deserved. She's been in the company longer than I believe every other woman that's on the roster right now, with the exception of maybe Nikki Bella. But I think she's been on there longer than her. Maybe not
Natalya
much.
also has roots in wrestling.
Well, yeah, of course.
She's been around the company
with being, of course, part of the Hart family, Neidhart. She's been a part of this for a long time. She's been given some low points, in character, but she's pushed through them all. She's tried hard with like going heel once, like I think it was last year, Money in the Bank. She went heel with
Yeah.
Becky, and then
Yeah.
I think turned face again, then turned heel again after the brand split. And she tries hard. It's just they don't give her a lot of in the way of like a unique character, and I think that's where it falls for me. Her wrestling prowess is very great. She's a great technical wrestler, and it's really cool to watch. But just her look and her character and the way she acts, just for me, isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Just where she's at right now. Hopefully, with being the champion, it'll bring out a new side of her, a new level to her, and I think it's cool. And Naomi was kind of getting a little boring for me as champion. I liked her a lot at first, but I don't know. Once you start putting glow sticks on a title belt, I think that kind of demeans it just a little bit. But I think that Naomi's a great worker. I think she's a great athlete. I think she's got an awesome theme song, awesome entrance, pretty cool gimmick. Just don't add that to your championship belt.
Right.
Um, and where this goes from here, obviously, Naomi will have a rematch. I don't know that they give her it back. That would make her the first ever three-time SmackDown Women's Champion. Her and Alexa Bliss are both two-time SmackDown Women's Champions at this moment. So I don't know if they'd give it right back to her. I think that would be a mistake, seeing as they've been doing this a lot with the Cruiserweight Championship, and then the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. It's only been like about a month since New Day won it, and then they just gave it right back to the Usos, and we've had that kind of going. We've had that going along the past year or so with some of the other titles. So I think like we need to kind of settle down with that. So um, after Naomi, I don't know, like, because there's always still Carmella in the background with the Money in the Bank case. I was surprised that she didn't at least come out and like uh, pretend that she was going to cash in like she did
Yeah.
at Money in the Bank after she won. I thought she would do that just to get the crowd reaction. But there's no mention of her. Nothing happened at all, and so
Like she was
um,
shot watching the match once,
really,
and it was
I
like
didn't. I don't
it
think
was
I
like
noticed that one.
10 seconds.
Yeah,
That was it.
but yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think that it'll be interesting. Obviously, she'll always be in the corner, in the background. Who Natalia might feud with next? I mean, the problem is that she's feuded with everybody before. Like she's feuded with Charlotte uh, for a while.
Yeah.
For a while, they went back and forth. She feuded with Becky after turning heel on her last year, like we already talked about. I don't know if they want to turn her face and like fight against Tamina and Lana, because we've got that storyline that's been kind of going on the last couple weeks of Tamina and Lana wanting to team up. And which would lead to Tamina going for the championship. So you could turn Natalia face for that, kind of like they did with Charlotte against the welcoming committee. And that would also lead to more interesting stuff with Carmella, because if you have a heel champion with a heel Money in the Bank, it kind of doesn't work. So maybe that's what they're going to go with. Other than that, I can't really see much else that I would be excited for, because, like I said, she's feuded with all the other baby faces that are on the SmackDown Women's roster. Now, of course, if there will be the superstar shakeup here soon, like it's rumored to be, obviously there will be some women switching brands, which will lead to new opportunities. So we'll obviously have to look out for that, because that'll obviously change things up a bit. But right now, I'm interested in the SmackDown Women's division, but I'm not necessarily like excited, if that makes sense. I'm interested. I'm hopeful
Yeah.
for it, because I think this might be a good change. Might be a bad change. I'm not sure, but I'm hopeful that they'll have everything worked out. And congratulations for Natalia
Yeah.
with a well deserved championship reign finally.
Finally, yes. So next we move on to Big Cass versus Big Show
Hey.
with
Yeah.
with Enzo Amore and locked in a shark cage.
Not the whole time though.
Yeah, not the whole time. I mean, this match wasn't probably on anyone's expectations of being great by any means. It really wasn't even good, but not because I mean you had the storytelling in a way, but as I said during the watching, is that we've had this storyline before, as far as like, well, Big Show's facing this bigger guy, and so the other person breaks Big Show's hand. I'm pretty sure Big Show's hand has been broken in at least 3 storylines in the past decade. Triple H, CM Punk, and now Big Cass. Well, technically the club, but anyway. In this storyline, it's Big Cass, and so the match itself, not much was interesting. It was ridiculously stupid and really hard to kind of pause disbelief whenever Big Show keeps using his right hand, or whenever Big Show would do a move that you can easily do with your left hand, knowing that he has a broken right hand. I mean, it's really hard to suspend disbelief whenever it just makes it way too obvious that it's not that hurt at all. And then close to the end of the match, we had Enzo Amore stripping naked, almost naked.
Almost.
Well, actually, not even almost, because he had he had big socks on. I think he had like something on his arms.
Yeah.
And in his underwear, he oiled himself up, and he put some gloves on. For some weird reason.
I guess because
you know what? Now that I think about it,
so he wouldn't slip. Yeah.
I don't know, but either way, it's weird. Yeah. And then he climbs. He gets through the bars of the shark cage and climbs down and drops to the ring, only to eat a big boot from Big Cass. And then Big Cass boots Big Show for the win. Big Show, I believe, is just out of the storyline. I think that's where we go. He's out of the storyline. I think a lot of people wish this, and I for one wish this. I think maybe even you've mentioned it. Maybe Enzo turns heel and joins Big Cass.
That's what I was hoping.
Honestly,
for.
That's probably the most hopeful thing.
The best decision in my opinion.
It really is, because Big Cass still has a lot.
Enzo said it himself best in his promo beforehand. You can put up Enzo's worst promo up against Cass's best match, and Enzo wins it.
And it's true though. And now the first run that Cass had as a singles competitor, whenever Enzo was out with a concussion, was actually pretty impressive. This one I can't say as much. He's not awful like some people are agreeing. We have. You heard him loud
what that was.
Yeah, I know she was a fog in your throat. But he's not the worst. I mean, he's clearly got a lot to improve on.
But I think he's young.
But I think, yeah, he is young. But I think putting Enzo Amore back with him keeps him relevant and gives him time to keep improving. He's kind of had a month or so, or maybe 2. I think it was like 2 months on the singles as a singles competitor, kind of doing his own thing. I think it's time for them to be paired back up. But I do see whatever happens between those two, or maybe Cass moves on. I don't know. Big Show's out of the picture, hopefully. I mean, I can't see a situation that would bring him back in. He lost the match. He has a broken hand. Just let him go. Let him go. That's all we have to say about that. Whatever.
Yeah, it was interesting. And as we have started the trend of talking about up-and-comers getting buried, we continue on with the story to perhaps the most unusual, out of the blue, and worst of the burials of them all, where Rusev was defeated by Randy Orton with an RKO in 10 seconds. Now, of course, there was a bit of a brawl before the match started, where Rusev had a bit of had most of the offense.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden the bell rings. Rusev jumps at Randy. Randy dodges out of the way. Rusev hits the corner, turns around, RKO, 1, 2, 3, it's over. And I don't understand why. Because to me, I know that a year or so ago, Vince was extremely upset with Rusev and Lana because of them breaking kayfabe with announcing their engagement to each other and marriage when they were in a storyline where they were broken up. And I get that, but the thing is they were punished quite a lot for that already. Lana was basically called a slut by The Rock. Rusev was destroyed badly in the ring.
Yeah.
To me, they've paid for that. If you think that that's worth being paid for, like, oh my gosh, like that terrible person for marrying the woman he loves.
Yeah.
What a heel. But I don't know. Like with Baron, we know that he's kind of been shooting off on Twitter, even though I think that's good with his character. I think you should use that to your advantage. But whatever. Maybe you disagree, Vince. I know you're watching, of course. And then Enzo Amore has obviously had a lot of backstage heat with fellow wrestlers and stuff like that in the locker room. But with Rusev, there hasn't been any talks of him getting into the bad graces again. And, he comes back from injury. I know that Vince was mad that Rusev cut his hair while he was on injury, but surely, since he's come back with being buried by John Cena and then Randy Orton in such a terrible fashion on both ends, surely that's not because of a haircut.
Yeah.
Surely not.
But I wouldn't put it past Vince.
I mean, it is Vincent, man. But it doesn't make sense. And you have such to me, out of Corbin, Cass, Enzo, Rusev is the guy that to me, out of them, is the main eventer of the group, and he is your big time heel that you can build on. He's amazing. Like he could even be your big face if you let him. He's hilarious. He's great in the ring. He's got a great presence. He's just really awesome. And if you would put him back with his wife, he would have one of the best managers. And they were amazing as a couple. You could give him the world title, and he'd be a much better option than your current world champion, but whatever, we'll get to that. So I don't know. Obviously, there could be something that we just don't know.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Vince thought this was a good idea. But I don't know it, and it's just really sad because Rusev is amazing, and he deserves better. Hopefully he'll get it in the future. Maybe this was just. Maybe this was kind of like what happened with Randy, where Vince went up to Rusev and was like, hey, if you let me give Randy a win because of what he did with Jinder, I'll give you this. I'll give you a world championship here in a few months, or the U.S. championship back, or, something, that maybe that has what's going on in the back, but we don't know that because it's in the back. We only know what's in the front. But other than that, there's not really anything else to talk about in that match because it literally was one move, and it was very saddening.
Yes. We move on to the Raw Women's Title match that was contested between current or former champion Alexa Bliss, and who is now the current champion, Sasha Banks. And this was kind of a surprise in a way because, like you said, and I think you said it very well in the prediction video, even if Bayley was the plan, whether she was or not, why would you give it to Sasha? Why would your second option be the one that you put the title on. Like if your first option doesn't work, I mean, I guess because it is Sasha though, you can rely on her to carry a feud and all this. I don't know.
Yeah.
And not to say that she doesn't deserve it. She's a great worker. Both of them are.
Mm-hmm.
They put on a pretty good match. A really good match actually. Very enjoyable. And now when Bailey comes back, which I'm assuming, I don't know if I didn't hear a timeline. It shouldn't be too long.
I saw something on their YouTube channel where they were asking her about it, and she said that she was going to go back to the doctor in about a month. For them to check on it, and then they would have a date of how long it would be before she'd be back.
So I mean, maybe we go and see Sasha versus Bliss for the next month or so, and maybe Sasha turns heel, and when Bailey returns, and or maybe Bailey turns heel. I don't know. She comes back and demands that she has a match that she never got, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, though,
because the cool thing with that is that Bailey did beat Sasha Banks to get the chance.
Right.
So
and then maybe they can keep them both face because of that, because of the fact that Sasha can admit that, hey, it was Bailey that beat me. So
right.
Why not?
But it's not her fault that she was given the chance after.
Right.
So you can work it where they're both continue face if you really want that.
And in all honesty, I wouldn't mind Sasha going heel. Because I mean, not that her character is dull, it's just nothing new to it ever. Kind of.
It's not as over. She's not as over as she was when I think it was last year at. Was it last year at Money in the Bank was when she came back from injury after a match with Natalya between her and Charlotte to lead up to the WrestleMania match at WrestleMania 32. It was either Money in the Bank or Fastlane or something.
And
she got a huge pop.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking it was Fastlane.
Yeah, might have been. If I remember correctly. It was one of those between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania match.
But so yeah, I mean, so even if these two do continue to feud, it's amazing how they don't like each other, but they really. When they say they put personal feelings aside and do good business and put on good matches, they mean it. They work so well together. And so I wouldn't mind seeing this feud go on until Bailey comes back. And then who knows who else we'll see come up in the scene. But I believe that's what we'll have for the next foreseeable future. Bailey, Sasha, and Alexa being kind of the main ones in the Raw women's title picture. Mm-hmm. And then following that match, we had a match that didn't quite match our expectations, I think. Finn Balor defeated the Eater of Worlds. May I repeat that? The Demon King, Finn Balor. Mm-hmm. It just kind of sounds weird to say. The Demon King. The Demon King came out to defeat Bray Wyatt. Now, both of them needed this win. Balor got it, and I believe that was the right choice. And in all honesty, if both of them needed it, but if you're going to give it to one, give it to Balor. And WWE did. And it wasn't a terrible match. It was just a match that could have used better build-up. Mm-hmm. A match that could have used more mind games. Now, when he came out as the Demon King and they were playing the mind games, that was where it was awesome.
Yeah.
That was what we've needed. And maybe that was the point, was to kind of get people a little interested in it, and then during the match really deliver on that. But I think they could have really used it up before this. Mm-hmm. And who knows? Maybe that now that the mind games have been played, I don't really see them feuding with each other anymore. I just don't. I don't know who else they would go on to. But in all honesty, what's the point? What was the point of having them? Like you were saying, Bray Wyatt just kind of said, "Well, the WWE Universe loves you, and I hate you, so I'm going to pick a fight with you, just because they love you.
They love you instead of loving me,
right?" So. And that's kind of it. And so I think that's what's going to happen with Bray. He's just going to find someone else to say that with,
yeah.
And then Finn is going to, I don't know, I don't know. We do hope that Finn gets his Universal title shot soon, and I say soon, maybe before WrestleMania, maybe by WrestleMania. Doubt that's gonna happen, and we'll talk about that. The reason why for that later.
Yeah.
But it would be nice. Maybe have Balor hold a title, just some title.
Yeah.
United States title,
Intercontinental.
Intercontinental title, um, just anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him something.
Yeah.
Because he is a good worker. While his character as Finn Balor may not be that what he used charismatic. In the ring, he's pretty darn charismatic, and he's a good worker.
Yeah. The thing that sucks for Finn is, like we talked about in the reaction video, we were kind of wondering and wishing we could know what their original plans were for him before he got injured. Unfortunately, when when he won the Universal Championship, there wasn't a set up stacked Raw main event at the time, and I think he would have been the forefront of that and been the leader of the helm for Raw for a while. But unfortunately, once he came back from injury, they had built that main event. And honestly, I just don't know that at the moment there's room for him.
Right.
Even though he's a small guy, there's just not room. Because there's so many other big guys.
Right.
And that's what sucks. But of course, we'll talk about that when we get to the main event. But the next match after that was one of the most hype matches and moments on the card, and that was the Raw Tag Team title match between the champions Cesaro and Sheamus up against the challengers, the newly reformed and newly back together Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. 2/3 of the Shield has been reunited, and that 2/3 is your new Raw Tag Team Champions, and it's so good. The story, as I talked about in the prediction video, the story wasn't super great to me at first, like the first week or two, but it once it kept going, it really started to really get compelling, and just personally for me because the Shield was a big part, along with CM Punk, of why I got back into wrestling. Like honestly, it was those four guys. And that's why, even though I hate what they've done with Roman, I still really love Roman because when I started watching Roman, Roman was awesome because he was with two other awesome people.
Yeah.
And Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk were the reason why I got back into wrestling because I was out of it for a long time and I came back into it. And those guys were the big dogs. Can't believe this. They were the hounds at the time, and it was a compelling story. Their rise to conquering the WWE roster, and then their fall, and then the outcome of that breaking apart, and like the matches that came from that. Everything that Dean and Seth did together is amazing. The story with Roman, going against the Authority and stuff like that, and I know a lot of people didn't like it as much, but I liked it a lot. And then now them kind of coming together, and it's been a couple of years, and they've kind of let their problems with each other go, and now they're united again. To me, it's awesome, and I just loved it. And that's the biggest thing of it is, I do want to see more of Dean and Seth together and doing more moves like together because they kind of did their separate arsenals, but like one at a time, like they did it like back and forth. So like I want to see some like tag team moves and I want to see some like double teams and stuff like that, other than they're just clotheslining people over the ropes, like and the suicide dive. I love their suicide dives together that they used to do in the Shield, which they did. But I hope that with Dean and Seth being the champions, I hope that Cesaro and Sheamus do not fall to the wayside like so many other tag teams have. Just because they're not the champions doesn't mean you don't have to use them. Like Cesaro and Sheamus are amazing. Cesaro's an amazing singles competitor. Sheamus is a pretty good singles competitor, and together they're incredible. and I think that it will continue for a little bit, but I think there might be some other stuff going on. I think like there's like a lot of opportunity with a new tag team like Dean and Seth because they haven't went against any of the other tag teams.
Yeah.
They haven't faced the club. They haven't faced the Hardys. Like we could get the Hardys versus the Shield.
That would be good.
That would be amazing.
That would be very good.
Like there's so much potential, when the Revival gets back, if they're still together by the time Scott Dawson's healed, we could see the Revival versus the Shield. Like awesome stuff like that. Like that's really awesome. And so, like I do believe that at some point they will break up and Dean will turn heel. That's what I'm hoping once they do break up. But I honestly, I hope it'll be a while. Like
Yeah.
I kind of predict that they'll probably have it happen like in the beginning of WrestleMania season and like have the match at WrestleMania. But honestly, I kind of hope that they wait until like next WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 35, like 40, 50, like don't do it at all. Like now that it's happened, I kind of don't want it, but I also do, like in a way, because both stories would be great. I just like, so I'm looking really just forward to the Shield continuing on, and I just hope that Cesaro and Sheamus do continue to be the dominant force that they are. Cesaro showed that he is innovative, um, and he thinks quickly on his feet, and he knows how to work the crowd. Like when he ran into the crowd and grabbed that beach ball out of the air and ripped it in half, it was one of the best moments of SummerSlam of the entire thing, and it wasn't even part of the match. It was one of the best moments of the whole pay-per-view. He's amazing, and I really want a part of me wants them to break up because I really want Cesaro to have that awesome world championship singles run that he deserves because I'm a huge fan of Cesaro. But I also love them together, and I also don't want them to I hope that if they break up, it's not in the same way all the other tag teams have broken up this year because I don't want to see them feud again because we already saw that to get them together.
Right.
So I don't want to see them feud because they broke up, But I'm just super looking forward to everything with both teams going forward because I love both teams and just like Wall New Day and the Usos are incredible tag teams. The two of them just don't hold a candle to get like they don't have anything else on SmackDown to support the amazingness that Raw has in their tag team division. The Shield, the Sheamus and Cesaro, the Hardys, the Revival. Like there's probably other people I'm forgetting. The Club. There's so much goodness, and I'm just excited for the Raw tag team division. But with that, after that, we had the U.S. title match between the champions AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. And what's crazy is up until this point, every single title match, the championships change hands, which is pretty crazy. This was the first match that did not change hands. And actually, the rest of it's kind of weird how they divided it. Every match up until this one, they changed, and then at this one, they all stayed the same. The rest of the card, because AJ did end up defeating Kevin Owens, and the match was good. The thing is, and it was kind of the thing that I feared going into it, and I kind of knew that it was going to happen. And like, it's okay, but the main story of it was revolving around Shane, not necessarily around the two of them putting on an incredible match, even though they did put on a pretty good match. I do think it was good, and I do think it might have been better than their other two pay-per-view matches. Not by a whole lot, but I think that just maybe it was with Shane in there and just added suspense of like what's going to happen, kind of boosted that. And so maybe having Shane in there was kind of good, but I don't know. I just don't feel like they. Hopefully, like in the future, they'll feud again, and we'll be able to see what those matches could have been. Because I just feel like there's more to the two of them together than they showed. But I guess that's a good thing because that means in years to come when they eventually go back to feuding, because everyone feuds 1,000 times, there's something different that they could do.
Yeah.
And of course, the main storyline was it does appear to be that they are setting up for Shane versus Kevin Owens, probably at Survivor Series. I heard about they were going to do a Survivor Series match, Team Shane versus Team Owens, and that's fine. I get. I don't really want Shane, like I like Shane a lot. When Shane came back uh, last year, loved it. It was great. I think he's awesome. But I don't really want to see him wrestle. Like he has his good, awesome spots, and he proved at WrestleMania that he can actually do some good wrestling. But I would just like for him to stay the commissioner. Just be cool. Like just you do your dance, but I don't need you in the ring. But I guess like Shane just really wants to defy death more and more. So I don't know, but the match it's a lot similar to the Mr. Ross versus Jason Jordan match. It's really setting up a lot for that feud. I don't know if AJ Styles will be involved in that feud. I would assume if he was, he would definitely be on Team Shane. I don't necessarily think that's a good idea, though. I think that you should not continue on with that. Let AJ do his own thing. Lead now to maybe AJ versus Nakamura. That'd be great. Something different for AJ would be nice. But I don't know. I'm sure the Kevin Shane thing will be good. Like I like their kind of chemistry together, and the fact that you can tell like they do a very good job of acting like they hate each other. And like when Kevin got screwed at one point, and he went up to uh, Shane and was like, "What are you doing? What's your GD problem?" And like I was like, "Oh my gosh, like that's crazy." And it was interesting. Like there was obviously the story moments where you had kind of the victory for both men in the middle of it, where Shane did take a bump, even though he said that he was doing this because he could take a bump and keep going, even though that didn't happen. Where Kevin tapped out to Styles calf crusher at one point, and then it looked like Owens was going to win. And Shane counted 1, 2, 3, but AJ had put his foot on the rope the entire time, but Shane didn't see it until like right as he hit the third count, and so he called off his decision and told him to keep going. So it was interesting because you had both men get like a shown like victory before like the finish of the match, which was interesting because normally only one person gets that. Normally, like the face to have the necessary rematch because of that for the underdogness, and or the heel to be like mad about it and stuff. So it was interesting that they gave it to both. I guess it just made it like keep going back and forth of like that you didn't really know which way it was going to go. But I think that it was definitely the right decision, keeping the title on Styles for sure. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things continue on, and hopefully, whatever the storyline between Shane and Kevin, whether it's a one-on-one match or a Survivor Series 5-on-5 match, um, whatever it entails, hopefully it'll be good. That's all we can really hope for. And then hopefully they'll give AJ a great number one contender here and within the next week or two to put on some stellar matches. And then the next to last match was definitely not the main event of anything. It was the main event of badness. It was stupid. It was ridiculous. It was retarded. It was bull crap. It was Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. And Jinder Mahal, Jinder Mahal. Remember that guy? The jobber of all jobbers, 3MB. That guy. Remember that guy? Jinder Mahal defeated Shinsuke Nakamura. Youngest ever IWGP lightweight champion or heavyweight. I don't know. Really awesome dude. New Japan superstar. Put on one of the greatest matches at one of the best New Japan version of WrestleMania. I can't remember what it's called. With AJ Styles. Put on some of the best matches ever. One of the most legitimate, awesome dudes. Put on one of the best, most recent matches with Brock Lesnar. Jinder Mahal beat that guy. Just so you know. Okay. So that was bull. It shouldn't have happened. Nakamura should be the winner. And even if you were going to go with letting Jinder retain, do it in a different way. Like, literally, the way that he beat Nakamura is the same way that he beat Randy Orton at both Backlash and Money in the Bank. The same exact way. Thank God we didn't have Greg Khali to come out and choke Nakamura out, though. But literally, it was the Sings came in once Jinder was in trouble. Nakamura destroyed them with a couple of King Sashas, the same way that Randy would kill them with a couple RKOs. And then Jinder comes up from behind, grabs him, puts him in his stupid finisher, and he wins. No, like, be creative, show some legitimacy in Jinder Mahal, like that he can at least, like, yeah, sure, he's got underlings and that's always going to be a thing in his matches, but at least have it not be an exact scene for scene, move for move replica of matches that happened 3 months ago and it's happened every month since. No, that's bull. Now, where this goes from here, whether or not Nakamura stays the number one contender, I don't know, because in a way, I don't want him to, because I'd rather him go on to face AJ, because that'd be something that's actually good for Nakamura and show him in a good light, which they haven't been doing very well in SmackDown. I hate Jinder Mahal as champion. Literally the worst champion of all time. World champion, anyways. Literally, he's the 50th world champion. That's crazy. He holds the same belt that Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, like so many amazing competitors and wrestlers and entertainers have held over the years, and now it's in the hands of Jinder Mahal. And I'm sorry, if you love Jinder Mahal, if you like Jinder Mahal, that's great. I gave him a chance. I've given him a chance. I've given him all these months. I've, seen that there's like reason for what they are doing, and I've seen that he's improved a little bit. But honestly, it's a failure, and it's not necessarily all Jinder's fault. It's not. It's not all on one man's fault. But it doesn't work. I hate it. I despise the fact that he's champion. And I don't hate Jinder. I hate that he's champion. Like I said in our prediction video, let him lose the championship. Let him have a while away from the championship scene, but still be dominant, and still be good, and still put on great matches, and have the chance to evolve and grow. Then you can make him champion again at some point. Right now, I can't. I can't. I will never, at this point, get behind Jinder Mahal in this reign of his championship. Now, if Nakamura wins and becomes the next WWE Championship winner, then that will be amazing, and I will love that so much. But I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't go with that at SummerSlam, biggest party of the summer, the place where Nakamura won the NXT title for the first time a year before. It just made so much sense. I don't know. I hate it. Worst, probably worst. Not worst match, but just most disappointing, I guess. Well, they're all disappointing. I don't know. There's so many.
The next one's not disappointing.
No, the next one is not disappointing.
And the next one would happen to be the WWE Universal Championship match that was contested between Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, with Lesnar being the reigning and defending Universal Champion. And man, this match, we expected it to be a brawl, and it was. We expected it to be an all-out fight, and it was. Gosh, we had people destroying each other left and right. Brock Lesnar was killed, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the middle of he was in the coquina clutch. This isn't how it exactly started, but I mean, within a couple of minutes, he found himself outside and in a coquina clutch, and then Roman Reigns comes up and spears him through a barricade, and Brock Lesnar, that is, while he was in the coquina clutch. Samoa Joe saw it coming and just kind of pushed him a little bit, and he went through the barricade. And then Braun Strowman puts him, power slams him through two tables, and then drops the other table on top of him. And it's just, it was ridiculous. And so Lesnar was carted out most of the match. And
Actually, not. It didn't seem for very long. Honestly,
it didn't, but I mean, maybe not. But all the time between, basically, Lesnar spent most of the match down and out. Because of all the time that he spent after he went to the table, and then the next table, and then under the table, and then being rolled back. I mean, it really made Lesnar look. He was safe to be gone that long because they killed him, and then it made him look like the beast that he is by coming back, and then eventually winning. We had some really good spots. The only problem, the only problem, if you're searching for a problem with this match, was that Samoa Joe wasn't really kind of. In fact, it wasn't that he wasn't even highlighted. It was the fact that he really did not show much. That we know that he can, though. It's not. It's not just like we're putting him down. It's just that we know that he can, and he didn't. And we don't know whose decision that was, and maybe that was just to keep Samoa Joe from taking too many moves and looking weak, or I don't know what it could have been, um, but man, then you had Roman Reigns trying to look strong. It took like four Superman punches on Lesnar for him to even go down, and you had Braun Strowman who looked extremely tough. Honestly, our two predictions were the biggest parts of the match. You had Braun Strowman dominating most of the match, I would think, outside of the parts that Lesnar dominated. Just all around great match. Can't think of any other spots that we really could talk about. I mean, but coming into this match, you had kind of a Reigns, Strowman, and Lesnar, Samoa Joe kind of feuds going on. Combine those, and you get one monstrous, great Universal Championship match. Now, obviously, I would never put these four together again. Not because it'd be bad, but because this was honestly just a spot fest. And while it was great for this type of pay per view. It was SummerSlam. We were waiting to just see a fight. We were waiting to see things get huge, and that's where it delivered. That's where the main event delivered, and the right man won. I think you keep Lesnar with that title for as long as you can until WrestleMania. Um, and if you have to have him drop it, gosh, I don't know how you would after this match. But he's money, and he really is a beast. I mean, he's throwing everyone around.
Yeah.
That's one spot we could talk about. Braun Strowman tossing Lesnar literally halfway across the ring. That was insane. But I mean, individual wise, I don't know where they go. I don't know who continues stepping up to Lesnar because one of them has to, or someone has to. I hope that's Braun Strowman.
I'd say it has to be Braun.
I would say it has to be.
It has to be.
I think they really set that up because, I mean, even after Braun put Lesnar basically out of the match, as he was being rolled out, he said, "Where's your beast now?" And was laughing.
Yeah,
like he was taunting Lesnar. And if you have any of those three challengers who's a viable threat against Lesnar, all of them are great challengers. but Braun Strowman is up there. He's gotten so good in the ring. I mean, obviously not the best, but I mean, quite honestly, this is probably his best work tonight. Well, some of his best work tonight. Um, he knows how to tell a story now. And kind of what I said in the reaction video during watching a year ago, I wasn't interested in this guy at all. Once he broke away from the Wyatt family and he started beating just like locals or whatever, I thought this guy's gonna go nowhere. And even when he started facing actual main roster wrestlers, I still thought, man, he's just gonna keep squashing people and eventually kind of get lost like some of the guys. I'm glad I was wrong because I mean I enjoy seeing him in the ring. So also the big question is, when do we see Lesnar next? I'm pretty sure the answer to that is Survivor Series. I feel like that's kind of an obvious. I don't know that he would.
Probably.
I mean, he did appear like Great Walls of Fire, so I wouldn't be surprised if he appears at another one. But I don't know how many appearances he has in his contract. I know that he is going to show up for a couple of Raws between now and the next pay-per-view. But he's champion, so so that's exciting, and it'll be exciting to see who he faces.
Yeah. And I will say I've been that outspoken. I haven't, since his most recent run, I haven't been the hugest Brock Lesnar fan because of the kind of, to me, boringness of his matches, how they're all the same and they all have the same moves and stuff like that. You know what? He proved me wrong today. Now he himself didn't do a whole lot different. Like he did mostly what he did was he suplexed and then he gave a couple F5s. But like I will say the one thing that impressed me is he took the most hits. Most of the time I've always felt that he's been very made sure he didn't take as much stuff,
right,
but delivered the most. So like he took everything. Like,
and he sold it.
Like, yeah,
but it's almost like he
really
didn't have to, because he did take big bumps.
Yeah, like you said, like the spear crashing through two tables, then throwing the last one on him, like all that was so crazy. And it's interesting though. I wonder like how it'll go, because like it was a different Lesnar than we're used to seeing in Victory. Like he wasn't in the middle of the ring, like holding up his championship, like at WrestleMania. Even though he had a tough match with Goldberg, like he still was like up and like showing off the title and all this stuff. But at this one, he just won. They gave him the title. He rolled out, fell on the floor, and couldn't even stand.
Yeah.
And like that's so interesting, and I wonder if that's going to be something they continue on, of him being different. Like they like the announcers kept saying, like he's going to be different after this. He's never going to be the same. And a lot of that kind of stuff is kind of just trying to make you realize how awesome a situation is. But I wonder if that's really going to become a storyline for like the time Lesnar has left with the company, if he doesn't decide to keep if he doesn't decide to add on to his contract for after this April. Then like maybe this time, like with going into Survivor Series and then Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, with like maybe his last 3 or 4 matches with the company, if he doesn't resign, maybe there'll be a different Lesnar. Maybe there'll be the old Lesnar. And I tell you what, if that happens, I would be happy as can be, because the old Lesnar I loved. So, but only time will tell. But that was SummerSlam 2017. Overall, a good pay per view. Like there were some really disappointing parts to it. There were a couple of confusing parts that I don't think matches that I think should have went another way. But for all the bad that there was some pretty bad stuff, like with the burials and all that stuff. But with that, like with as much bad as there was, the good that there was just overtook the badness that there was, and and to me, like, I guess that's all you can ask is that, like, because with every pay-per-view, there's gonna be something that's not the best. Like, that's just, it's not possible really to have a perfect pay-per-view that has no like kind of weak matches or weak or annoying endings, because you have to continue a story. But as long as the good parts are so good that they overtake those bad parts and they make you come out happy and satisfied with it, then I think that's a successful job.
Yeah.
And so I think that in this one, I take my hat off to you if I had a hat, Vince, on right now. But I give my kudos to Vince. This was a successful pay per view, and to me, probably my favorite SummerSlam of a while. Like, because SummerSlam's never been honestly one of my favorite Big Four. It's always been my least favorite Big Four. But this might have some contention for being up there this year. Like, that was a great pay per view. Honestly, to me, better than WrestleMania was.
All right.
Like, because to me there was more great things that happened here than what happened at WrestleMania. Because, like I said in our aftermath video of WrestleMania, I felt that the good parts evened out the bad parts. To me, at SummerSlam, the good parts overtook the bad parts to where it didn't become just an okay pay-per-view. It was a good pay-per-view. It was a great pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a success. Like, there was so much awesome stuff. And so I'm satisfied. I'm happy. And I'm good. And hopefully, like, they continue this. Hopefully, if they're continuing with the 2 pay-per-views a month, that they'll do it a little better. They'll do it in a way that is just not as annoying and not as frustrating, because that'd be nice. But is there anything else that you've got to add? Is that cool? But yeah, this is SummerSlam is over and it's done with, and but it was really awesome, and so I'm looking forward to, now we change into Survivor Series territory, Survivor Series season, and see where that goes, and I'm excited for it. But if you guys did enjoy this analysis and of our aftermath of SummerSlam, then please hit that like button for us. We'd really appreciate it. And if you don't want to miss any of our content for the rest of SummerSlam, because here in a few days we'll have our reaction video out, and then our punishment video. And for the next pay-per-views that come, if you just want to make sure you don't miss any of those, make sure and hit that subscribe button for us. We'd really appreciate it. But with that, guys, we will see you soon. I have been Parker from Wawa Echo, your World Heavyweight Champion.
And I've been Zach.
And we will see you guys soon. Peace.